It is 7 o'clock. That is right. I should probably start this thing then. It started. Okay. So, hi everybody.
Greetings.
If you all are still alive after that horrendous Super Bowl. This is our 16th episode of Sports Goofs. Francisco with Charles and Andrew, and we'll see if Cesar can pull himself out of court to talk with us.
Or hopefully the judge will give a continuance.
It's like, yeah, just go talk on your sports podcast, and then we'll be back here. So obviously we're going to talk about the atrocity that was the Super Bowl. And the fact that it was terrible, it was awful.
It's kind of like that book, Terrible, No Good, Very Bad Day.
Yeah.
It was terrible, no good, very bad game.
Yeah. It was bad. It was everything we did not want in the Super Bowl. And was it like you said, Charles, sometimes you just can't predict sports.
Yep.
So we will talk about not only the game itself, we'll talk about the halftime show, or lack thereof, if in my opinion. The commercials, which were and I guess the fallout from this Super Bowl and what it means, even though, you know, I'm a bit sad because we are living in the worst timeline, guys. This really is the worst timeline. The Patriots have won 6 Super Bowls in the span of 18 seasons. So,
but something I wanted to bring up, I'm not sure if it's too early. Well, I guess we'll come to that in a second.
Mm-hmm.
But I guess my first question to everybody is, do the Patriots win this thing or do the Rams lose? I know what Cesar would say, and that's the Rams blew it.
Ooh. I don't know. What do you think, Charles?
All right, so I got a couple things. First and foremost, I don't think anybody's happy Tom Brady won the Super Bowl except for anybody who's a New England Patriots fan. Mm-hmm. But I can take solace in the fact that he was atrocious, and that made me feel good. That's like the in between. I can't say that the Rams. I would say the Patriots won it, and you want to know why? Is because at least they adapted and tried to find the big plays. Both defenses played excellent. I'm not gonna shimmy on either of them. They did really good. The offenses look like no one really prepared at all during the week, because the meme that they have now is both teams are playing like they know they're going to the White House for the Super Bowl. So it felt that way. But the Patriots played the methodical thing that we kind of expected, which was run the ball with Sony Michel, have Julian Edelman. All they didn't have was James White catching anything. He was non-existent, which was very weird because he's usually the most reliable guy there. And then the Rams were just like, run up the middle, play action, no blocking. Jared Goff looked scared. Jared Goff did this. And the Patriots defense just took advantage of a bad guy, because I think what happens is we tell ourselves the Rams should have won because of an offense that was leading 35 points per game. But it's not as if the Patriots' offense is bad either. The better team just won out. This is the mantra of defense win championships. But Jesus, defense needs to at least get to the offense. Can I get a pick 6 out of it? Can I get a bump return? There was a point where it felt like a choreographed dance. I remember Jared Goff unable to get a read or throw out of bounds, and then one of the linebackers or one of the edge rushers got him, and he built a little twirl on his knees. Like, Sam,
yeah.
Olay.
I mean, it seemed like that was like, I think he was glad he went to his knees, if anything. Jared Goff wanted no part of the Super Bowl at that point.
He wants to play Patrick Swayze's son in Dirty Dancing sequel part 2, and I get it. No Havana Nights, which is prequel, I believe. Is it? I gotta get back on that. I'll let you guys know on that. But I think it also comes down to something very fundamental. That horrible, and I hate it so much, idea that veterans show up in big games and rookies kind of don't, or young players don't. And then Jared Goff in his 3rd year really didn't do anything. Todd Gurley, who was obviously injured, didn't do anything. And then Brandon Cooks, aside from, possibly catching a touchdown, if Jason McCourty wasn't there, didn't do anything. So it's the old men win out, right? Why do you need to teach a new dog old tricks when they know the tricks to win?
I mean, the play that broke it out for the Patriots was Brady to Gronk.
Yeah.
And then Sonny Michel with a little 2-yard run, and boom, that was the lone touchdown. As soon as that touchdown happened, I was like, that's it. This game's over. Yeah. That was it. It's surprising that one touchdown in at that point, 9-3 game, felt like that was it. It sealed the deal for the Patriots. The Rams were just... I was expecting... And the second half, the fourth quarter, they finally started to get some things going, but they couldn't convert on third downs. And then that interception was devastating because that was probably the best looking drive that they had. But I guess Goff made I would guess you would say a rookie mistake, even though he's not a rookie anymore, but I guess a rookie Super Bowl mistake in tossing that thing up in the air. I think the Rams, at that point, were just trying to stop being conservative and going for the big stuff and the big plays, and kind of bit them with that. I mean, it wasn't even that great of a throw, so he should have just thrown it away, if anything.
Well, I mean, they had success over the past couple of plays with being a bit more aggressive.
Yeah.
And the problem with that one, it could have been, well, two things. One mistake was that he had that receiver wide open in the end zone. I think it was the drive or two before that. And one of the McCourty brothers got a good read on that thing and took him out before he could get his feet down with the ball. Great hit, by the way. But Goff is a little bit too late on that read. And I know I'm being a Monday morning quarterback here. I probably would have got my head ripped off. But if he had thrown the ball a little bit earlier, McCourty wouldn't have been able to catch up, and that would have been an easy touchdown. Or at least get down to the 3-yard line. And then the other one was, he had another one where the guy should have caught the ball in the end zone, but it got kind of jumbled up thanks to the man in coverage, but I still think that should have been caught, and Tony Romo agreed with me, so obviously I'm right. And he had a shot on that one that got intercepted. The problem was the corner knew where it was going to be, basically, and he cut the route early. The receiver overran it, and that was the issue. I think if the receiver had played correctly, I think he may have had a shot there, and there could have been a catch, or at least an incompletion, instead of the interception.
Yeah. I'm actually playing it here on the screen here. So, yeah, that's exactly how it looked. If anything, this Super Bowl robbed us of Tony Romo and his great analysis, because there wasn't much to analyze during that whole game. From a defensive standpoint, I guess people, if you were a guy who loves defense, I guess you like this Super Bowl, but that's just the... I mean, it even seemed like it was that great of a defensive effort. It was just that the offenses just couldn't get anything going. And kudos to the Rams defense for holding the Patriots for that long. But I think, well, I guess hopefully this is a sign of good things to come for the Dolphins. Brian Flores and kind of making Jared Goff look very confused throughout that entire game. He couldn't get any good reads, couldn't find any holes. I mean, it was just, it was a great effort to, I mean, you held that offense to 3 points. Whoever designed the plays throughout the whole game.
I got to give kudos to whoever the defensive coordinator, whoever was drawing up the defensive plays, like you were saying. I don't think anyone in their right mind, if someone had said that the Patriots are going to only score 3 points until maybe halfway through the fourth quarter, I think everyone in their right mind would say, you're nuts. But the Rams defense, and we were talking about this last night in our kind of intra-group message stream or whatever, that the Rams, this is all the Rams offense. You cannot blame the defense for this. They gave up 13 points, 10 of which came in the last few minutes. If the Rams had any semblance of an offense going last night, this shouldn't have been even close.
Yeah. It was just a mediocre show overall. The lowest scoring Super Bowl ever.
Was it?
Yeah. It's the lowest scoring Super Bowl ever. I think that before that was a 14-7 between the Dolphins and the Vikings.
Oh, so it wasn't even close.
Yeah. So this was 13-3.
And it was the second lowest scoring first half,
Yeah.
which was 2 points.
Yeah, and the Patriots are, I guess, the lowest scoring Super Bowl champion ever. So, and what was it? That was that stat line that you said that surprised you, that the Patriots haven't won a Super Bowl by...
Until last night,
Yeah.
the Patriots, and I had to double check this because I thought it was insane, but all of the Patriots' Super Bowl wins and losses during the Belichick and Brady era. So, what is this? This was their 9th, correct?
Yep.
So the previous 8, and again, this is wins and losses, all of them have been decided by 8 points or less. And that 8-pointer was, I think it was last season. That was their largest margin of victory or defeat. So before that, I think it was 6 points was their largest, and that was against the Falcons. So if just a tipped ball here or one big play there by the other team, or by either team for that matter, we could be talking about the Patriots not as the greatest football team of all time or the greatest dynasty of all time, but they would be supplanting the Bills as the most successful losing team in history, because they had that string of 4 Super Bowls back in the 90s, and they couldn't win any of them.
Right.
So instead, this would be 9 potentially, or 8 potentially, that they go to the Super Bowl and lose all of them. And that would be what could have been. Instead, they have a 6-3 record. So that's just goes to show you that football really is a game of inches, in a sense.
There was only one play in the red zone, which was the touchdown.
Right.
I think Todd Gurley didn't do anything. I think he only had 10 touches.
He was bad.
Yeah, he was bad. Maybe he's injured?
They were talking about that. He was potentially injured.
Yeah, but even if he was injured, you still had C.J. Anderson. And listen, I understand there's a big gap in talent, but C.J. Anderson is still a starting caliber running back, in my opinion, and he showed up in the last, 4 games, counting like the 2 games that Gurley was out for the season and then the playoffs. So it's not as if they were disadvantaged in talent at the running back position.
No, I've got a list of statistics here that just showed how ugly the Super Bowl was. 65 in yards, the distance of the longest punt in Super Bowl history. Hecker didn't seem to get all of this kick, punting from his own end zone in the third quarter, but the ball caught a nice bounce and rolled 27 yards. And the Kings swung field position, allowed the Rams to get a stop and then drive for a field goal to tie the game. It was one of the game's most exciting plays.
Johnny Hecker, if the Rams had somehow won, he would have been the MVP, because he kept them in that game the defense obviously, but if it came down to one player, he was getting all these awesome punts that were keeping them within the Patriots within their 30-yard line. That's terrible field position for a team to start with.
He had 9 punts.
He had 9 punts?
Yeah, he had 9 punts. And like you were saying, he was keeping the Rams in this game. 417 yards of kicking, which is almost a quarter mile. And that's okay. So the Rams punted on their first 8 possessions of the game. That had never been done in the Super Bowl beforehand. And that was his most punts in a game since September of 2016. So let's see, 107 plays from scrimmage before the first touchdown was scored. Like, this is really bad. 3 for 13. The Rams' performance on third down, like I said, they couldn't convert. And they led the NFL in total first downs this season and ranked 5th in third down percentage. So, very un-Rams-like performance. Jared Goff only had 32 passing yards in the first half. 0 touchdowns through first 3 quarters. First time that's ever happened. 45 rushing yards for Todd Gurley. Like I said, he only had 10 touches. Just 16 total points scored. And yeah, this was bad, guys. Super Bowl halftime show was bad too.
In some ways, I think the halftime show was worse than the game because the game actually was interesting thanks to Johnny Hecker.
Can
I just start off here?
Go ahead.
I'm gonna go on a bit of a rant here. I apologize.
Yay.
You keep track of time so I won't go on forever. I am so mad with whoever designed that Super Bowl halftime show. There was a petition of, if anyone doesn't know the background here, there was a petition of over 1 million people, I think it was close to 1.5 million, who wanted Sweet Victory, which is an iconic scene from SpongeBob, to play at the Super Bowl halftime show in honor of Steven Hillenburg, the creator of SpongeBob, who passed away in November of last year.
Right. And
they did maybe 10 seconds. And
probably 5.
Probably closer to 5 seconds there of not even the real thing. It was a redrawn version of the scene. And
of the opening to the scene.
Of the opening, not even... It was Squidward saying, "Here's a truly good artist," followed by the trumpet intro, which couldn't be heard because the intro to a Travis Scott song was playing.
Right.
So, in essence, such an iconic scene that 1.5 million people wanted to see. Over 1.5 million people. I'm sure there are people that wanted to see it that didn't sign the petition. It turned into an introduction for Travis Scott. And I have nothing against Travis Scott. I don't know any of his music. I just know that he's a rapper and he's obviously popular. Otherwise, he wouldn't be in the Super Bowl. But, come on! That is such a waste of something that so many people wanted and you would have made so many people happy. Not to mention, there were all these teasers on the internet that were saying, "Ooh, it's gonna be coming," but that was just so disappointing and honestly frustrating.
This Super Bowl was broadcast by CBS, who is owned by Viacom, and Nickelodeon owned by Viacom. Thus, that's how they got the rights to, I guess, that opening scene. However, I was looking forward to it. I showed my sister that scene. She remembered it, and she's like, "Oh yeah, I remember that." And I thought they would at least play maybe a verse from the song or something, or at least incorporate it into one of their songs in some sort of way. And I'm just like, okay, where's the meme? Come on, guys. And it didn't come, and I'm sure they probably looked at the 1.5 and like, okay, we'll throw them a bone or whatever. And
this wasn't even a bone.
Yeah, I was hoping, now that I saw that, I kind of wish that those fake animated meteors were actually real and they actually destroyed the stadium, so that we wouldn't have to have seen the rest of that show nor the rest of the game. I think we would have all won if that had actually happened.
Team Meteor, exactly.
Team Meteor. So, yeah, it was just... Charles, what did you think? How bad? You guys were saying it was bad during it. You and Cesar.
Yes. All right, so I got a lot of opinions on this, so prepare for my rant.
All right.
This halftime show felt like it was geared towards people of our age group. You had Maroon 5, who I have not advocately listened to with a care in the world since like 2004, playing the stuff that was in 2004, such as Hard to Breathe and This Love, which I'm like, all right, hey, I remember jamming this in high school.
Maroon 5 used to be so good.
Plus, here's the thing about Sweet Victory. Adam Levine's voice is not deep enough to kill it the way that was done. So you know what? It's better they didn't. Tease me, but don't disappoint me. Because if they did it, you would have hated it more. I don't know who Travis Scott is. I'm not cool with what the kids like. Because if you're going to compare modern day rap, but you were telling me Big Boy, Sir Luscious Left Foot, is around the other half member of Outkast, I'm all about that. So the fact that he was just there to come out like a pure pimp and only sing a little bit. And you messed up. You want to know what you messed up on? You didn't call up Andre 3000. Like, hey, you want to make some money? You want to be the most talked about thing in Super Bowl? You want to represent Atlanta, where you and Big Boy come from? AT aliens come in, all this other stuff? Let's have the first time in like years. Now Outkast reunion right effing now. And everybody will watch it, everybody will talk about it. CBS doesn't care because they're old white people who don't know anything about rap. So like, let's go with Travis Scott, whose belt pouch looked like something from a Pokemon thing. I don't know. He's got his master ball in there. Or you messed up because I think you have to pay reference because, you know, last year in Minnesota, they give you Prince and his little purple beam, which is fine. I like Prince too, but if you're going for Atlanta rap, Ludacris ain't doing nothing. You bring him in. There ain't gonna be the Fast Furious movie. He is the Dirty South, man. He has literally. He talks about banging in the damn Atlanta Dome and what's the fantasy. And because you know what? If you're gonna tell me that's too offensive, Adam Levine's nipples.
Thank you.
Adam Levine's bad tattoos are offensive to me. Adam Levine's California tattoo, and I swear to God, if you weren't born and raised in California, and you're only in California because you're making a career, it's going to kill me. Now, he was born and raised in Los Angeles, California. I had to check it out real quickly because I had to be right about it. I couldn't be rude. But you don't need California. Half of America, if not all of America, doesn't like California except for.
I can't wait till Cesar comes back on here. I can't wait till Cesar's here.
We'll have to replay that.
Cesar likes California. There you go. Why? You got an In-N-Out burger. Congratulations, Adam Levine. We're very happy for you. We're very happy for you.
I don't think Californians were very happy with that performance either. So, I mean, the whole thing with the LA Rams and that, I mean, they, if anything, they should force them back to St. Louis after that performance, and they should take Adam Levine with them.
Coaching the way they played. So I was just disappointed from the choice of music.
At least Jeff Fisher would have gotten them 1 yard short.
Exactly. I always feel the halftime show, if you have men beating each other up, at the end of the day, it's still men beating each other up. You got to get a rock band. And I'm not talking about, like, all rock band. I got to get, like, that heavy metal, hell, bring Metallica part 2. I don't care. But I need something that's make me more amplified. As opposed to Adam Levine talking about "She Will Be Loved," where I'm like, is there a romance going on? I mean, there's some romance, because let's talk about this. Let me fast forward here. Tom Brady is kissing every man in the lips, so maybe that's why he requested Adam Levine, because, you know, making out with Belichick, making out with Kraft, making around with Guerrero, be like, hey, thanks for the PEDs. I'm the best PED you ever met. You know, I'm going to give that to the radio show hosts I heard earlier in the day, so I'm not going to go against it. But come on. Step it up, CBS.
Did you watch that? Did you watch the halftime heat?
I didn't because I'm behind on stuff in wrestling and I don't want to do the spoiler, but I saw like the trio of it. Because first off, all those men right there are fantastic, and I would rather have watched that, but I was at someone else's house.
Oh, okay. You couldn't. Okay, you couldn't turn away from it then.
I think I would have, and actually I did end up watching it, but I think I would have rather watched the Puppy Bowl than the halftime show.
You gotta remember, you need story involved, but it's a sad, sad world we live in. There we go. No California for Charles.
Oh, boy.
We're going to lose all of our viewers because of that, so thanks a lot.
Nah, you know, it's okay. It's okay. They
Listen,
can prove me wrong.
I mean, California's lost the Super Bowl and the last 2 World Series, so...
Yeah. Earn it. And Massachusetts, man. You got New England and the Red Sox. Beat those...
Oh, God.
I'm off my rant.
Oh, boy. Commercials, guys. The only one that jumped out to me was the Audi commercial.
Well, the NFL one too. That was actually a lot of fun. The NFL commercial.
Okay.
That's just me though.
Yeah, my favorite was the Audi one where the guy was choking on something and he was seeing like his grandfather in heaven, and he brought out the Audi car. Then you realize he was almost about to die and he was just choking. He's in his cubicle in his office, in his drab office. That was pretty funny. I like that one. That was probably the only one that stuck out to me. The Pepsi one super disappointed me. Mm-hmm. So Steve Carell, go screw yourself, because your whole laughing at the script thing, I don't know what you were laughing at, dude. But man, You have terrible sense of humor for a guy who was on a super funny show called The Office.
I know. And speaking of disappointing, the Stella Artois commercial. Well, not the commercial in of itself, but there was such a... I'm a big Lebowski fan. And there was that whole run-up. People didn't even know what it was going to be. It was going to be a Big Lebowski
Some people,
sequel.
yeah, people were really hoping for that.
Me, not so much, because it's been over 20 years since that came out. It's been about 22 years since that came out. So sequels that take that long to come out tend to not be that good. Look at Dumb and Dumber sequel from a couple of years ago, Independence Day sequel from a couple of years ago. Those all just sucked. So I don't know, but it would have been fun to have like a very Lebowski-esque commercial instead of him. He wasn't even drinking his White Russian. He was drinking Stella Artois. So I think it was a very misused. It was a very misused, very popular character, and they threw in the most interesting man in the world in there as well. So I think it was just kind of all over the place. Very disappointing. I'll just leave it at that.
Anyone that stuck out to you, Charles, or for being good or bad?
I agree with the Stella commercial, even though they say change is good. I mean, that was their whole thing, but Stella Artois is not my kind of beer anyway, so it will not be my non-sponsor sponsor. Might be somebody else's. A lot of them were just lame. A lot of them were safe. There was more car commercials. Where was my Dorito commercial? That made me laugh because that was always the lead of the pack. Mm-hmm. They didn't have anything there. The three things that made my body kind of excited after falling into a slumber from all the food I ate and the disappointment was the Avengers Endgame. In 30 seconds, I was more hyped up for that than the Super Bowl. I like the Bud Light commercial with the Bud Light getting killed.
Oh, the Game of Thrones.
So it was fun. Some people felt it was excessive. I'm like, oh, I get over it. It's funny. And the Hobbs and Shaw movie, just because of the fact of it is no longer about street racing for slips and like preventing the theft of broken TVs.
I actually wanted to talk about that. Like, is this where we're at with the Fast and Furious franchise?
Idris Elba is a superhuman. And I'm like, you know what? That's fine. I'll watch it. I laughed. I watched the whole trailer online. I was like, I'm about this. So this is where we're at. I mean, look, it's going to be better than 7 and 8. So I'm fine with that.
Okay. You know what? Okay. I get your point. I could, because after 7 or 8, maybe a spin-off. A spin-off is like it's something fresh, I guess. If you call the Fast and Furious franchise a fresh franchise, but it's something fresh. So we'll see what they can do in that world where gravity and physics don't make any sense. It never has. Have you ever seen CinemaSins?
Yes, I have.
Of all the Fast and Furious movies, it's great.
My personal favorite was the one where they jumped the car through that building. I think it was in Abu Dhabi.
Mm-hmm. Number 6, yeah.
And he got like 1,000 sins because that happened. And I think College Humor did something as well about that scene where it goes out, but then it immediately plummets straight down. At that point, have you guys heard of the term jumping the shark?
Well, yeah, from Happy Days, but yes.
Right. But the general concept behind it.
Oh, yeah, of course. That's when a franchise or entertainment property just completely loses their cred, I guess.
Right. They had already jumped the shark by that point, but they had jumped the shark into the stratosphere with that.
Have they ever actually jumped a shark during one of the movies? Like physically, like
I think they jumped a submarine at one point.
Okay.
So if we're talking underwater type things, that would count.
Okay.
I suppose.
All right. That was
fun. I enjoyed that part of it.
I was just really surprised seeing that. I've not heard. I don't know if there were rumblings of a spin-off for Fast and Furious, but man, I'm just looking at this trailer right now. I
think
just
they
can't
were
believe
just
this is
gonna do
happening.
split stuff because him and The Rock and Vin Diesel were not amongst best friends. So like, all right, let's not ruin the moneymaker because let's be real, when The Rock signed on, that re-energized for me the Fast and Furious franchise because I didn't care for Tokyo Drift. The second one wasn't good. Fast and Furious #4 was decent because I got in for free because I snuck in after watching Adventure Line with my sister. And something about Vin Diesel putting some NOS to run over some random dude was hysterical in an underground cave, but everything else was muddy. And all of a sudden, then you just see The Rock versus Vin Diesel. When I saw the trailer, I gave birth to a steak. It's happening. And then this one, I'll probably get birth to a pork chop because all them muscles, I can't say no to it.
Oh boy. I can't. Okay, I can't believe this is happening, but sure.
It's pretty great. One thing I gotta comment on that NFL 100-year trailer when Brady takes off his rings, I was dying.
That was funny. I have to admit that was funny.
Yeah, earlier in the day there was memes going around when basically saying Brady is Thanos. He's going to complete his Infinity Gauntlet with the 6 ring.
Right.
So it's just felt like everything came full round between that little NFL love and then Hobbs and Shaw. I'm like, all right, at least I enjoyed bits of it.
Okay. Anything more from the Super Bowl, guys? Any final thoughts as to this very, very mediocre event?
Not
The event
really.
in general.
I think we've covered pretty much the extent of this thing.
Alrighty. That's half an hour. I just to lighten the mood, I want to talk about spring training. We are 8 days away from pitchers and catchers reporting.
That's what I read online. The first team reporting is on the 11th.
Okay, perfect. So, with that comes this season's versions of the spring training caps that were released today, and I'm showing them here on screen.
That Mariners one is really nice.
So let's take a look. First, the Grapefruit League teams, which are, of course, the teams that play out here in sunny Florida. We've got the Braves with their old school A from the, I guess, from when Hank Aaron was playing. Except in the current Braves colors. They've got the other one in navy with a navy version of their Tomahawk logo. Then you've got the Baltimore Orioles with their retro Orioles swinging a bat logo. The Boston Red Sox are in red with a blue B. The Tigers have 4 of them. The Old English D in white, the Old English D in orange. Then 2 of them with the tiger head in orange and the tiger head in navy. The Astros have the circle version of their H-star logo. The Marlins, which is what I want to talk about, have the current fish logo, but without the M. And I absolutely love it. I think it looks a lot cleaner. And now I kind of wish this was a permanent alternate, or actually their primary cap that they wear, but it is not for now. But it looks great. I'm probably going to buy it. The Twins have just a regular navy with the TC logo, then with the red front panel with the TC logo. The Mets have their blue and orange Tim Tebow caps. The New York Yankees have navy with the white bill and then navy with the gray bill. I've never seen that before.
I like the white tip.
Yeah, the gray one I've never seen before. The Phillies have their Liberty Bell logo. The Pirates have their boring, just black P logo. The Cardinals are in red with navy, so it's kind of like the reverse of their regular alternate.
The Rays
caps.
have 0 change to their caps. They've had the Navy Columbia, Columbia Navy, and White Columbia Columbia for the past few years. So with the Starburst logo, which is their alternate logo. So really no changes there.
The Blue Jays have a red maple leaf on a white panel. And then the Nationals have, I think that's a retro Washington Senators logo. if I'm not mistaken, but or maybe a modern take on one of the Senators' logos for their cap. Then in the Cactus League out in Arizona, the Diamondbacks have their snakehead logo with the baseball inside of its mouth in black. The Cubs have their regular C and then the retro Cubby face. The White Sox have a retro Batterman logo in black, and then they have the Batterman logo with the white panel and the blue and red. The Reds have the old English C,
which funny
in
enough,
red and black, and red, and then the vice versa color in the other side. So.
They basically copied that verbatim from the China national team, the Chinese national team from the World Baseball Classic.
Ah, actually, yeah. I'll right about that.
I'll send you a link really quick.
I'll look on sports logos after this to see if it actually looks like that.
But it looks almost identical.
The Cleveland Indians have a red panel with the navy block C. They don't use Chief Wahoo anymore. I think this is the first season that they've completely eliminated Chief Wahoo.
Yeah.
The Rockies have a...
Ooh, that's interesting.
Yeah, the Rockies have the state flag situated on their Rockies logo. The Royals, I think they're the same. They have the Crown R logo.
But it's an altered version as I'm looking at it. It's a bit more stylized.
Okay.
If you look a little bit closer.
Ooh. The Angels have just a red cap with the navy bill. The Dodgers have a blue cap with the D instead of LA.
And a stylized D as well.
Yeah. The Brewers have the MB glove logo, which everyone loves.
I wish that would
the
go
yellow
back to
panel.
permanent.
And then they have the regular M logo. The A's have I guess, I don't know if I've ever seen that logo before.
It's the white elephant.
It might be a retro version of their white elephant maybe when they were in Philadelphia on a green background. And then you got the Padres with the retro white panel. Last season before they changed to brown.
Thank goodness. Although something I find interesting, this is the first time I've seen these, so sorry for the comments coming in. That's not a full white panel though.
Yeah.
Up front. That's very interesting.
Yeah, it's more.
I like it.
Yeah, more retro, I think. And then we've got the Giants in orange and white. The Mariners have, I've never seen that logo before, an M behind their, I guess, their compass logo.
It's the M that's used inside of the compass logo, just minus the compass.
Okay. And then the Texas Rangers with the T on top of the outline of the state of Texas. And that's it, guys. Which one's your favorite?
Arizona.
Arizona?
I like the whole design. It fits back. It actually looks kind of intense and cool. I don't, some callback to the Blue Jays is all right. But Arizona's the one that just kind of stands out for me. I mean, the Cubbies one is cute.
Yeah.
It's nice with the little cub there. I don't like the Chicago one at all.
The White Sox?
The White Sox, yeah.
Yeah, the retro Batterman logo.
Yeah, it just kind of looks very stick figure.
I mean, that was when
that's
the
their
White
logo
Sox...
from the 70s and 80s.
Yeah, that's when White Sox were kind of weird with their logos and colors.
Didn't like it then, don't like it now.
And they still don't wear White Sox.
Surprisingly, right? I mean, I at first when I saw it in the one, I thought it was the Blue Jays from far. I'm like, oh crap, that's different. But the Angels is kind of a safe bet. They could have just done a big halo, and I would have gotten it. I think that would have been cool. But they didn't. So hey, it's their world. I like Phillies. I like the Royals a lot because of the crown. I don't know, it reminds me of like Biggie Smalls and that little portrait that he has. The diamond cover.
Yeah,
so I'm gonna give some. I'm like, you know what? Props to them for making. I think it was purposeful. They're like, all right, how do we get somewhere in Missouri to understand us? We're gonna do this. And also, I'm looking at the side by side of the Baltimore cap and then the White Sox cap. It's like a copy and paste, man. All they do is like, all right, now finish the bird face and draw the little feathered tail. There you have it. I feel like Bob Ross was just kind of teaching him out. And then Houston safe, Boston safe, and of course the Yankees are safe because what's a Yankee? You just can't put a white guy's face on there. The Marlins cap is really nice. I do like it a lot. You do make the hint that it should have been a permanent thing. the Oakland is just very odd and out there. I don't know if it's because we need the elephant to be bigger or something, but it's just weird.
Yeah. I mean, it's a very rough outline of an elephant. Like, when I mean rough, it's very rough. Now, the A's obviously have a modern version of the white elephant on top of a baseball, and I think they've used that before in other spring trainings and as batting practice caps, but I think they wanted to go with super retro with this one. I'm sure it's somewhere in their back catalog from when they were in Philly. My favorite, aside from the Marlins.
Thank you.
Yeah. Aside from the Marlins, I mean, I like the Cubs going retro with the Cubby face. I've always liked that logo for them. I like the Rockies. I think it's very Colorado. Like, you wouldn't not mistake it for any other team. And then finally, I guess I'd have to give it to the Tigers. That bright orange one. It's very in your face with the tiger head on there.
I actually prefer the all navy one because it gives a little bit more color separation between the tiger head.
Yeah, I get you.
That's me at least.
Okay. What about you, Andrew?
Well, I'm going to leave out the Marlins and the Rays here because those are my two teams. Although, if I have to go into those, the Navy Columbia is my favorite of the three, and then I really like the Marlins cap. I think that should be their primary, personally, or at least much more used than what it seems to be right now. Just kind of going down the list. I like that, like you said, the Navy Tiger head for Detroit. Let's see, the Phillies one's okay. I like how the Blue Jays bring in the red maple leaf, and then over in cactus. Yeah, I still don't know why the Reds did that.
Actually, now that you said that, let me look it up.
I'll let you do that while I keep going. I do like the Rockies. The Royals one's very interesting because, like I said, that's not a usual logo for them. And I'm not talking about...
Oh, wow. It is.
I told you. It's almost identical. Especially if you look at it on a hat, which I sent you a link to.
Yeah.
I like that Royals one because it's a bit more of a stylized R, and the crown is a bit more stylized. The Dodgers one I only like because it's the same D that was used, or is used, or at least was used by the Kunichi Dragons, which is a Japanese team that was in one of my favorite baseball movies of all time, Mr. Baseball. And let's see what else. I like the Milwaukee Brewers MB hat, as I said earlier. That really should be the permanent. Again, that should be their main. The only thing I like about the San Diego one is that it's not a full white front panel. I think that kind of angle to it is really cool. And then the Mariners, I like that. That kind of says it for me. If I had to pick a favorite, I can't, because they're all, those ones I mentioned were really good.
Okay. All right. So
we're gonna just keep pushing Anthony Davis down the line here.
Oh yeah. We're gonna keep pushing until we can't push no more. So. All right, Andrew. You posted this college hockey topic, because you want to talk about the bean pot. Care to explain what that is?
Sure. And he can't be here this evening, but shout out to BU Mr. Canada, who is a longtime viewer of the show. And he is the resident college hockey fan of the crew. So tonight is the bean pot. The bean pot is the annual... I have notes here. I'm pulling them up. So the bean pot is the annual tournament between the 4 Division I men's hockey teams. Well, actually, all of them. They also have the women's bean pot as well, but by nature, I guess, men's are a bit more publicized than women's, unfortunately. So the 4 schools are Boston College, Boston University, Harvard, and Northeastern. These are the 4 main Division I hockey schools in the Boston area. This is the 67th Bean Pot and the 66th in a row. It started in 52, 53 was skipped, and then 1954 on has been consistent. It's kind of a similar situation to how, to use another sport, it's 2 rounds. You've got your semifinals between, it's 4 teams, so you've got 2 semifinal games tonight. It always takes place the first and second Monday of February. So tonight is the semifinal games, and one of them just went final, I believe. Yeah. So Game 1 tonight was Harvard versus Boston College. Boston College won, so they advanced to the finals next week. Next up, starting in less than 15 minutes, is Northeastern versus Boston University. Winner of that one obviously goes to face Boston College next week. So it's 4 games. So you have the 2 semifinals games, you have the final, but you also have a consolation game between the 2 losing teams in the semifinals. Boston University is the most successful team in the Bean Pot. They have 90 wins overall, so that includes semifinal games, consolation games, championship games. They have 90 wins overall, 53 championship appearances, and 30 championships, but they've been kind of on a slump the past couple of years. They haven't won in the past 3 years or so.
Okay.
Some notable players include Tony Amonte, who played for Boston University, Chris Drury, who played for Boston University. We mentioned him last week, Rick DiPietro, who also played for Boston University. Corey Schneider, current goaltender for Boston College. Nick Bonino plays for Nashville right now, played for Boston University. Chris Kreider, Boston College, now for the Rangers. And Johnny Gaudreau, formerly of Boston College, now with the Calgary Flames.
Yeah, Mike Matheson plays for the Panthers. He's a Boston College alum.
And just to quickly go through some notes from BU Mr. Canada, BU and Northeastern, who is their opponent this evening, played twice earlier in the season. They won that season series with 1 win, 1 draw. However, Boston University has been undisciplined as of late. They've, in his words, blew 3 of 4 of their games due to undisciplined play. Oh, you picked up the website on the stream. Thank you. And then Northeastern hasn't been that great as of late either, and Boston University seems to at least have some success over them this season. So BU, Mr. Canada, is hopeful that Boston University will win this evening and move on to the finals against rival Boston College, although I guess all of them are considered rivals. So that's just kind of I wanted to bring that up quickly because I'm trying to expand us into other sports aside from the main ones. I'm a big hockey fan. All of us here are big hockey fans, even though our schools don't have D1 teams. So and plus it's an important rivalry. It's well known even outside of Boston circles in the Northeast. And I guess while I'm on college, you want to discuss the big news out of Florida State?
Oh,
or do you want to go to Fulmer Cup first?
I just want to make a quick aside about Florida State because I don't have much to talk about it. Mm-hmm. Now, DeAndre Francois, if y'all don't know, was the quarterback for the Florida State Seminoles. He was the heir to Jameis Winston, and the Florida State season kind of went down the drain once he got injured in our opening game against Alabama. Funnily enough, at Mercedes-Benz Stadium. Actually, someone was pointing out all of the last championship games and things that were happening at Mercedes-Benz Stadium have all been kind of just been terrible games.
Wait a minute.
For the most part, or at least there was choke jobs. There was just bad things happening for one or both teams during those games.
You're talking championship games, though, right?
Championship games, SEC championships,
Well, in
the
January
national
1st,
championship with choke jobs and things like that. So
I'd say the last kind of a very interesting, kind of truly interesting game was UCF Auburn back in 2018, which was also at Mercedes-Benz Stadium.
okay,
I have to throw UCF in there. Sorry.
okay. So
you do have a good point there. Although the Atlanta United, who is in the MLS, who's in Major League Soccer, they won their first championship, and they played the championship game in Mercedes.
I remember hearing, because MLS, I guess, hosts, the championship at whoever had better record or whatever. And we're not a soccer podcast because I don't like soccer particularly, but it was just the fact that Atlanta latched on so hard to a soccer team, even though Atlanta is a pretty, very surprisingly, very international type of city. I think that was mostly in part due to the '96 Olympics getting there, and then having big companies there. Coca-Cola, CNN is headquartered there. So the one thing they don't like is hockey for some reason. But still, okay, back to DeAndre Francois.
And if anyone doesn't know why Francisco mentioned that, it's because Atlanta has had 2 shots at NHL teams. You had the Atlanta Flames back in the 1980s.
Yep.
That didn't last long, so now they're up in Calgary. And then the Atlanta Flashers. Wow.
Flashers. That's a team, all right.
I've heard weirder names. But the Atlanta Thrashers lasted less than
they were created in 99.
A little over a decade.
I think the 98 or 99 2000. No, 98 99 season. And just a little over a decade.
Little over a decade.
And remember, one season was canceled due to a lockout.
Right.
So, but anyways, DeAndre
They're
Francois.
up in Winnipeg now.
So, Francois has been dismissed by Florida State. The domestic assault charges, and just this character. You can see here some of the tweets here. I guess his off-field antics following that injury just didn't suit well with the new culture at Florida State. I guess this is kind of a side effect of Jimbo Fisher leaving, and maybe not caring so much towards the end, so a lot of things kind of fell through as far as discipline and everything. So maybe this is our new coach's way of trying to hit the reset button on a lot of things. Florida State obviously has to hit the reset button after last season, so obviously if Francois was playing at the caliber of Jameis Winston, we probably would have looked the other way, just like other college football programs do, but he's not, and we didn't, and thus he is gone. So that's all I got to say about that. But you have an update for one of our fun segments.
Yes, the one and only Fulmer Cup.
Yay.
I love the Fulmer Cup. And just as a weekly disclaimer, this is not the official podcast of the Fulmer Cup. It's just something that I find interesting, and I like to get the word out a little bit. So, after a couple of weeks of zero activity, we finally have some action. It's a very interesting one. We have 3 players from the University of New Hampshire. It's an FCS school up in New Hampshire. Quinlan Dean, Kyle Hamper, and Jackson Houseman. I hope I'm pronouncing those correctly. They were all charged with felony riot.
What did they do?
Apparently, and again, us being lawyers, this is all allegedly. So
But in this, for the Fulmer Cup, all we need is the arrest, right?
Correct.
To get the points.
Right.
Okay.
So
It's basically like immigration law.
They went into some kind of a party. I think it might have been a fraternity party. and were kind of assaulting people. So I guess the more common would be felony assault, but I guess in New Hampshire they consider it felony riot. So 3 of those guys, all linebackers, they were arrested and charged with felony riot. And I think if convicted, I think I read that's anywhere from 3.5 to 7 years in prison.
Oh, wow. Wow. Okay.
It's kind of intense right there.
Yeah. Lawyer up.
So that's our...
So how many points do they get?
The committee is still deciding, because it's a committee of, I think, 7 people. We all give our base analysis, how many points do we think, and then it gets averaged out.
Okay.
So for now, at least, the numbers are coming in, what everyone thinks, and once we get a point total, I will announce it. Although I can't say anything for sure because I don't want to put words in everyone's mouths, but I have to assume this is going to put UNH in the lead, because right now the only person is Alabama with 1 point.
I just want to look it up. Okay, I put New Hampshire riot, and then they told me about the Pumpkin Festival crowd turning unruly. Now, I actually want to go down this rabbit hole and see what happened on the night of October 19th, 2014 out in New Hampshire. New Hampshire Pumpkin Festival crowd sets fires and throws bottles. Did not know a pumpkin festival could get so crazy. Tear gas and pepper spray hung in the air as police and riot gear descended on Keene, New Hampshire on Saturday night, trying to disperse a rowdy crowd that brought chaos to the city's 24th annual Pumpkin Festival. CNN officials reported state and local police, public safety officials are on the scene. All right, continue. Bonfires burned into the early hours of Sunday morning on city streets that were littered with broken beer and liquor bottles. I am saddened and disheartened at the events surrounding this year's Keene Pumpkin Festival, said Keene State College President Ann Huat. Let's see. Multiple locations around the city, injuries and property damage. Huat said Keene State students bore some of the responsibility for the unruly behavior, but also suggested that some outside community had billed the event as a destination for destructive and raucous behavior. Oh, boy. So...
I just posted the link to the web story.
Let me grab that then. Let's see. For the Keene Sentinel. Okay, he described the chaotic scene as wicked. Okay, that sounds very New Englandly. It's like a rush. You're revolting from the cops, man. You're revolting at the Pumpkin Festival of all things. Okay, folks out there in New Hampshire, you see how you guys like to get down. So. Word to the wise for the 2019 Pumpkin Festival. All right, so let me look this up here. Boop. Okay, charged in frat house riot. Alrighty, and then we're gonna get a photo of the gentleman. Yes, we are, and those are the guys. All right. Blah, blah, blah. They're 21, 20, and 20 years old. It is a Class B felony. Sheesh. Let's see. All right. So, congratulations to the University of New Hampshire. You guys are in the lead.
For now, no, because like I said, points haven't officially been awarded, but it would appear that once points are awarded,
there will be. Okay.
So a bonus teamwork point is in the line here. Teamwork is when 2 or more people work together to commit the crime.
So if we get any conspiracies, okay, that's nice. So we got, all right, guys, we're halfway through.
8 o'clock. You know what that means.
Yeah, we're halfway through. So gear up for a word from our non-sponsors, guys. I started last time, so who wants to start today?
I guess I'll start. I hope we may have done this before. Did someone do JBL? I'm not talking about the wrestler Charles.
The speakers?
Yeah.
I don't think so.
All right, so I'll go with that then. JBL speakers, very good product. I bought one of their portable speakers a year or two ago, and it is significantly better sound than what my phone produces. I'll bring it with me, not in the shower, but put it next to the shower so I can listen to some cool tunes like Ben Folds 5 or Blink-182, you name it. I have a very wide, eclectic music.
Do you listen to Maroon 5?
It depends on the song. It's really their first or second albums. Everything, it kind of went downhill from there. Sorry, Maroon 5.
They had a terrible Super Bowl. You can make fun of them now.
I forget the name of the speaker I have exactly, but I think it's a Charge 3 or something, if you want to look that up.
There it is. I see it right there.
So that's what I have, is the Charge 3 portable speaker. I like it a lot.
It's got 4.5-star rating.
So highly recommended. It is not waterproof, as some of them are, so I would not recommend putting it actually into an aqueous situation. But it, for its size and its price, makes good sound. And I would highly recommend it to anybody who enjoys music, wants a better, richer sound than their phone can produce, but they don't want the full huge speaker system. And plus, you can bring it with you. It's Bluetooth, and it's rechargeable. You just stick it onto a USB port. So overall, JBL, at least the Charge 3, which is what I have, very good product. I would highly recommend it for anybody who's looking for a portable sound system. Promo code.
Actually, they actually have a Valentine's Day sale going on right now.
Well, there you go.
So
even more incentive to go out and buy a JBL system. You can get them either online, and I've seen them in Best Buy, which is where I got mine. I've also seen them in Verizon, which is my cell phone carrier, so you can get it in there as well. And I'm sure you can get it from other cell phone carriers as well. Pretty much anywhere. I know that Target, Walmart, you can get it anywhere basically. So JBL sound systems, like them a lot. Promo code is non-aqueous situations.
All right, guys. I'll go number 2. All right, so my non-sponsor is a little company I like to call Mayflash. Mayflash makes game accessories. They are from China, but they actually make some pretty good quality products. I just bought the Magic NS, which is a Mayflash adapter that plugs into your Nintendo Switch. It plugs into one of the USB ports found on the dock, or any portable dock that you have for the Switch. And what it does is that it converts, and I've got it here on screen, it converts your PS4, your PS3, or your PC or Xbox 360 or Xbox One controllers, or your Wii U controllers. Converts them to allow you to use those on the Nintendo Switch. So if you're in a situation where, oh gosh darn it, I don't want to pay $80 for the Nintendo Switch Pro controller, even though, as Charles would attest, it is a fantastic controller. But I'm cheap. I need to save money for other things like food and shelter. And I got a bunch of other controllers lying around that are perfectly good, including my Wii U Pro controller, which was probably like $60 or $70 back in the day. So I decided, hey, it's still a Nintendo product. Why don't I use this little thing? And lo and behold, I'm playing Super Smash Brothers like a pro, but from the Wii U days. It works perfectly. All the buttons work fine. I've tested it with a wireless PC controller that I had too, which has the Xbox layout, and that worked fine as well. It works with wireless controllers and wired controllers. There's actually a USB port on the end of this adapter, so you can plug in wired controllers. So it does everything, and you can actually use it on your PC. So it works doubly for your PC. I plug that into my PC, and I can use a PS4 or PS3 or an Xbox 360 or whatever controller on the PC. So I'm glad I bought it. I'm glad it was only, I think, $20.
That's not bad.
Yeah, it's not bad at all. $20 instead of paying $80 for the official thing. And so thank you to Mayflash. I've bought products from them before. They make all kinds of stuff here for the Xbox One, the 360, the Switch, the Wii U. They sell arcade sticks. They got retro adapters for everything. You want to play your Sega Saturn controllers on your PC, you can do it. You want to play a PS3 game with an NES controller, they probably have that. I don't know. iOS, Android stuff as well. They sell DDR dance pads if you want to relive the early 2000s. So thank you guys. Promo code is Play Like a Pro from the Wii U days.
Uh-huh. All right, Charles. It's your time.
What I can promise you for anybody who's listening or will listen in the future is that our little halftime moments are always going to be more entertaining than Admiral Dean's nipples. And that's a guarantee. So I'm sitting there at the Super Bowl, pure misery, kicking in at halftime because I drove down an hour south to go see some friends and whatnot. We were going to spend some time. It's a tradition, right? And I'm like, man, everything would have been horrible except for this product for my non-sponsor sponsors. Because I was eating the chocolate chip flavor, I was eating the sugar flavor. And guys, I gotta tell you, when I come to a party, I'm not hosting, and I rarely host anything because I'm just too lazy to clean up. I always bring me a stack of Publix cookies.
Oh yeah.
And I know I think we've talked about Publix in the past, but we're just gonna make it the cookies things. They're soft.
Well, we
chewy.
talked about pub subs last time, so
yeah.
I guess this is sufficient.
I've got a lot of images of Publix cookies there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Look, the cookies themselves, they're nice, they're chewy, they taste so good, you can't say no to them. And I was just indulging myself. Aside from every single thing I was seeing, every time I saw a nipple, I had a chocolate and the little cookies. They're just so good. They're pretty cheap. You get 24 for like $3.99 when they're on sale. I was very sad because my friend's son lifted up the unprotected package of chocolates and they hit the ground. And let me tell you something. Not
5-second rule.
I'm a germaphobe, but 4 people, and I won't name them, were eating the cookies off the floor. So good. Publix cookies so good you'll risk having some kind of bacteria in your body. So my non-sponsor sponsor is going to be Publix cookies, and the promo code is anti-nipple.
Okay. And if I can just build upon that really quick. Pretty much any bakery item that Publix produces is top notch. Their cakes, their cookies, their pastelitos.
Since we're on the Publix kick right now, just everything at Publix really. I buy if you go shop there, I buy their actual products because they have the name brand stuff. Right. You can buy Frosted Flakes if you want to, but. With Tony the Tiger on them, but Publix has their own version of Frosted Flakes with like a cougar or something on it.
Which is nearly identical.
And it's exactly identical as the real thing. They sell their soups and their beans and their rice and their peanut butter and their ketchup. And of course they've got their deli, which is fantastic.
Pub subs,
enough said. They sell rotisserie chicken. They sell
fried chicken.
Their
sweet tea is off the hook. I love that stuff.
They've got their bakery as well, which has all the things that'll give me diabetes. So Publix, you guys are doing a great job.
I think we could consider this.
It truly is where shopping is a pleasure.
I absolutely agree. I think we could consider this our group non-sponsor.
Yeah. All right, guys. So congratulations.
If you don't live in the southeastern United States, you're missing out.
Congrats to Publix. Congrats to Mayflash, and congrats to JBL.
Not the wrestler. One of the New Hampshire players looks like Zac Efron's stunt double.
Oh boy! All right, so
what's next? We still can't do NBA yet because our resident NBA expert here, Cesar, is still not with us.
I mean,
curse the time difference.
We could talk National Hockey League a little bit. So, just to get off on that, I've and I put JBL the wrestler here just to look at him. Actually, let's learn a little about JBL the wrestler before we talk our hockey talk.
Charles, you want to take that one?
Yeah, Charles. Let's learn. I'm on the official WWE website for him.
So
there he is in a suit.
Before he was John Bradshaw Layfield, from what I remember growing up, circa 1997, into the wrestling world, he was Bradshaw, and he was part of the acolytes, for the Undertaker. And he wasn't looking like this clean guy that we see on Fox News. He had this bad dyed black hair, a bad mustache, and a beer belly. He was going through the motions. He was a average, sometimes above average, talented wrestler, but he couldn't really work the mic. But he was a pure hardcore badass when he was with the APA, Acolyte Protection Agency. It was him and Farouk, aka Ron Simmons. They just beat dudes up. They would have segments in the background, the Attitude Era, where they're just playing cards, smoking cigars. They were cool, man. And then what happens is the injury bug. So he went out for a little bit. But then in wrestling, there's a thing called fortune. And the fortune usually comes in the shape of opportunity through the way of injury. And so he comes out of nowhere because when he was injured, he's supposedly a very well-noted stock market guy. Bull market, bear market would have it. He was getting some credibility as being more than just a guy who's taking bumps, right? So he comes back repackaged because SmackDown had done the brand split. They had different titles coming in. There have been a lot of injuries, so they needed like a main guy. So Vince McMahon, his height of pure Attitude Era, ruthless aggression era, everything, repackages Bradshaw as JBL, John Bradshaw Layfield, where he's coming in with the hat. He would come in with this car that had horns on the front of it. It was hysterical. And he got this push for the World Heavyweight Championship. His ring skills didn't change at all. They were kind of average. His finisher was a clothesline from hell, but the guy's like 6'6", 300 pounds, so he kind of made you feel it.
6'6", 290 to be exact.
There you go. So he can make you feel it by putting a whomper. And he was able to defeat Eddie Guerrero when Eddie got his championship belt and become one of the longest standing, heavyweight champions for like a year or so. And, he went, sometimes the idea of playing it, it's more fun to play a heel because you can work on everything. Everybody hated him. So he went through the motions, did his year's worth of stuff, kind of went here or there. Then he went to the broadcast booth, and he was fantastic in the broadcast booth because he literally hated on people, and I'm about that. And look at that. Look at that. Look at that man. He's on money because it's money. He had a stable called the Cabinet where they had like the one black guy who I guess is Colin Powell. I feel like this was the man's addressing to a jacked up, juiced up George W. Bush. They had a few other guys there. That to me is JBL then, and JBL now. I think he's doing some adversary work. So there you go. There, I started you guys. We're good.
Oh, okay. I just wanted to go down that rabbit hole real quick.
I just want to add, I'm not a huge wrestling fan, although I've kind of picked up on watching Attitude Era clips recently because the campiness is amazing. Anyway, boo JBL, it says JD Wonderbread. The question is, which JBL? Are we talking the sound speaker, sound company, or the wrestler?
Maybe he's invested in both. Maybe I don't know. Who knows? I mean, no, I think the other company was made in like in the 60s. So.
Although, funny enough, JBL, the wrestler, currently works as the senior vice president for Northeast Securities, and he is a financial commentator.
Yeah. Smart dude.
Yeah, he's a smart dude. All right.
But just to add in, my first experience with JBL, the wrestler, was here it is, back in 2009. Rey Mysterio, who was my favorite wrestler, now it's like The Rock or something from the Attitude Era because I love the campiness. But Rey Mysterio, one of my favorite wrestlers, beat him in 21 seconds, caused JBL to quit. So that was kind of my first experience with the wrestler JBL.
Alrighty. Okay, guys.
Bobby Lashley playing in the background on Twitch, I see. The man looked like Franklin all jacked up from PBS.
And there's JBL. He's right behind him. Oh!
Uh-oh.
I'll build a wall on you. Okay, so going down deeper, further the rabbit hole, there was a segment that I'm sure you can find on YouTube. JBL was hunting because Eddie Guerrero won the best.
That's a big dude. Sheesh.
He's a big dude. There was a segment where and of course it's bad taste, but Vince McMahon doesn't care. But I'm going to bring it all together today as president, so you're going to see how this goes. JBL's segment on SmackDown was that he was hunting for illegals, and so it was appropriate because Eddie was like, hey, we're all Mexican. Little do you know, Donald Trump has close affiliation with Vince McMahon, where Donald had Bobby Lashley, the black guy that you saw there, going into MAGA for Vince McMahon in a hair versus hair match. Furthermore, Linda McMahon, it's McMahon's wife, is now head of the Small Business Administration under the Trump administration, or Small Business, so whatever, under the Trump campaign. So, and what's the big controversy now, since 2 of you out of 4, Andrew, I'm sorry, I don't know what law you practice, is immigration attorneys. Lo and behold, we're really hunting real illegal aliens now. JBL's going to be spearlining it. You don't need a wall. You just need a wall of his clones, and they'll be knocking everybody out.
We need to start doing a weekly WWE segment, because that was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
This is fun.
I mean, I haven't followed WWE since the early 2000s, and that was only because my best friend at the time was super into it.
Yeah,
and obviously the only way I knew some of the wrestlers, like, I don't know, Mankind or Booker T or whatever, was through N64 video games. So it's, for me, it's kind of like nostalgia from that sense.
Actually, now that I'm thinking about it, Charles, you may find this interesting. A friend of mine from a long time ago.
And obviously WWE is here in Florida.
Yes. Really?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Next season, baby.
Oh, yeah.
Why do you think Hulk Hogan is hanging around Tampa all the time?
And I know the TNA used to be over at Universal.
Mm-hmm.
Rest in peace, Nickelodeon Studios at Orlando, Florida.
Yeah.
But a friend of mine from a long time ago, back when I was in middle school, is friends with Larry Zbyszko.
Really? The living legend?
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Starcade 97 with Eric Bischoff was terrible.
I'll have to introduce you to my friend because you know more about this than I do.
Listen, now we're going down further the rabbit hole. It's happening. It's happening.
This is the official JBL podcast.
JBL podcast sponsored by JBL.
I don't fangirl much, but for some reason wrestling, I fangirl. And for me, like, it's all like the back of my head, right? Because you see people get excited and freak out. I always told people, if I ever met like a pro wrestler, there's only like 2 or 3 of them that I would freak out for. And I was at like Miami Con like 8 years ago, and in front of me is like big sexy Kevin Nash. I'm like, yo, and he's like, autograph, pay me. I'm like, dude, but I'm gonna remember this for the rest of my life. I'm still waiting to see Chris Jericho in person.
As a side note, not wrestling, but my mom saw Drake this weekend.
Oh yeah, you mentioned that.
Yeah,
that's really cool.
All right, how did that occur?
I think he was at one of the Boca shopping centers, Boca Raton, where people have bling bling. And I guess he was coming out of a car or whatever, or getting into a car, and my mom's like, I think my mom was with her boss, I guess shopping, and she's like, "Oh, look, it's Drake," and like, by the time she looked over, she's like, "Who?" And she's like, "Oh, well, he's gone now," I mean, with his entourage and bodyguards. But yeah, my mom saw Drake this weekend, so
that's very cool.
Yeah, he had a better Super Bowl performance than Adam Levine just by getting into that car. Gosh, man. All right, guys.
We're not going to give this up, are we?
Oh no. This is it's trending right now, guys. We got to talk about it.
JD Wonder.
It's all about the Heartbreak Kid, Shawn Michaels. That's what he said.
HBK.
One of the best.
Yeah. Oh boy.
So what should we go to? Oh, we're watching.
I mean,
speaking of there we go.
Yeah.
HBK is on there right now. Tag team match featuring Does This Work?
That's Randy Orton.
I'm just a sexy boy.
Sexy boy.
Sexy boy.
Wow, a lot of people. I think that's an 8-way tag team match.
I'm trying to see what arena it is. Okay. I was going to talk about hockey, then we got into this. Okay, so the second half.
There's not really a lot to talk about in NHL.
I mean, the NHL is starting its second half.
Mm-hmm.
The Florida Panthers traded away Nick Bjugstad and Jared McCann to the Pittsburgh Penguins.
They got Broussard, right?
Yeah, they got Broussard. He actually played in their last game against the... gosh darn it, we just beat them. Gosh darn it. I know we lost to the Predators, and then we had a back against the Vegas Golden Knights. There we go. Yeah, we beat the Golden Knights. Gerard Gallant is 0-2 since he was in Sunrise, since he got fired by the Florida Panthers. So
just to give background information to everybody, Gerard Gallant, current head coach of the Vegas Golden Knights.
Who are super wildly successful.
I know, it's crazy. It gives a lot... It gives a huge weight on Seattle because they have this team to match up to.
Well, I mean, they're going to get the same
I know, so they
expansion terms as the Knights, and the Knights are not going to be affected by the draft.
So that's a lot of expectations on the Seattle blanks.
Yeah, but yeah, so they haven't won in Sunrise. Him with Marcia Saw and Riley Smith, those guys have not been able to win in Sunrise just yet.
Right, and Gallant was previously the Panthers head coach. He actually, if I remember correctly, went straight from Sunrise to Vegas. Is that correct?
Well, yeah. Well, okay. So Gerard Gallant's original first job was his first head coaching gig was with the Columbus Blue Jackets back in the early 2000s. Obviously, the Jackets weren't that good, and he was a first time coach, and just things didn't go too well. I think he lasted there maybe 3 seasons, or got fired into his 3rd season. And then he goes off and he coaches in juniors in the Canadian Hockey League. I think he ended up coaching Jonathan Huberdeau out with the St. John Sea Dogs out in I think they're the Quebec Major Junior Hockey League. And then the Panthers hired him from the juniors to the NHL, and the Panthers had 2 really great seasons. 2016 division winner, and then the next season the Panthers completely gut their roster, going full on with analytics in hockey, which in hockey right now, well, I guess it's more advanced now than it's ever been, but at the time the Panthers were kind of the team trying to get in the forefront of it, because the Panthers are not even though we're in a big market in South Florida, the Panthers aren't a big market team in the hockey sense. So they can't spend like Toronto or New York could. So they try to kind of moneyball their way to it, and they grossly overplayed their hand. And 22 games into that season, the following season after winning the division, they fired Gerard Gallant and send him, well, they don't even send him on his way. He had to get a taxi. Because it was just a surprise thing. And obviously since then he got hired by the Knights for their inaugural season. They win the Western Conference, and lo and behold, they're still one of the best teams. But the Knights are having a great season so far. Marc-Andre Fleury is probably playing his best season ever. He's actually in Vezina considerations. He's never been in Vezina considerations before, mainly because beforehand he was with the Penguins, and I always thought that the Penguins had won their previous Stanley Cup in 2009 in spite of Fleury, not because of Fleury. I never considered, even though he was a top draft pick for the Penguins, he was one of him with Malkin and Crosby being the big 3 that brought that franchise back to life. I always thought Fleury was above average as a goaltender, but not great. But I guess maybe a more advanced way than John Van Beesbrook did in Florida. He revived his career in Vegas because he lost his starting job to Murray out in Pittsburgh. So he had revived his career in Vegas, and now he's just running with it. And he's got Vezina almost written all over him, aside from some other candidates, Gibson out in Anaheim, even though the Ducks are just terrible.
I have to imagine Vasilevsky's at least.
Vasilevsky's in the consideration, even though I think a lot of people grossly underestimate him just because he's on the Lightning. So people don't consider him like, okay, but he's still, I mean,
if you've seen
he's a great goaltender.
If you've seen some of the staves that he's done this year, it's incredible.
I don't see how he's not considered for the Vezina. I feel like him playing on the Lightning will hurt his chances. Much like, I guess you would say, well, you can't say LeBron with the big three because he did win MVP while he's with the Heat. I guess, and I don't know if you could say Steph Curry, or because he has won an MVP as well with the Warriors, but it's still a product of his team that's affecting his chances of being voted the Vezina winner, which is the best goaltender. It's the goalie of the year award for the NHL.
So what you're saying is that people are going to say, well, how good is he truly? Is he being anchored by the rest of the team? Is that what you're... Yeah. Or is it just the market that they're in?
I think it's just it's not the market. I think Tampa Bay has already established themselves as a hockey city. They are one of the premier franchises. If you want to just look at Southern franchises, they are the premier one. They're the ones that have done everything right. They spend money. They drafted correctly. They've made great trades. They've signed free agents. They do fantastic marketing. Like I drove around Tampa a couple weeks ago, and there's Lightning stuff all over. Yeah. There's banners. There's billboards. I passed by Tropicana Field, and you don't see nothing for the Rays. You see things for the Bucks, but I would say it's equal to what the Bucks have around as far as signage and people noticing the Lightning because they are the best team in the area. So the Lightning are a premier franchise, and I think now they're still blowing past everybody.
They're the first team to hit 80 points, which is unbelievable
at this stage in the season. So there's still probably about a little less than 2/3 of the season left to go. Well, or 1/3. Sorry.
They've played 52 games. It's an 82-game season.
Yeah,
so we've got 30 games left.
Yeah, so a third of the season in a
roughly,
sense.
Yeah.
So the Lightning, now it's all about, because they're so far ahead of even their other teams in their division that they have to start thinking about the playoffs. Because we've seen tons of great regular season teams. The Washington Capitals can attest to that more than anyone. And yet, come playoff time, especially in hockey, the NHL's playoffs are probably the most toss-up of any of the four sports.
There was actually I think a Business Insider video on YouTube that discussed just that.
Yeah.
Which is the most kind of basically luck-based playoff league.
Right.
And NHL is definitely that.
Yep.
It has the most parity
yeah.
of any of the sports in terms of the playoffs.
And the most outside chance for a team, even like the Los Angeles Kings, I think in 2012, they were the 8th seed in the Western Conference and they won the Stanley Cup.
Yeah.
Which you would never see in the NBA. I think, what was the last time a 1 seed beat the 8th seed, or an 8 seed beat the 1 seed in the NBA? I think it was the Warriors over the Mavericks in like 2007 or something.
Yeah, it was fairly recently.
I thought it was the Grizzlies and the Spurs. Unless I'm thinking like this is like the beginning of the grit and grind era.
Maybe.
But I just remember that's when Zebo was all popping out. So was Conley.
Yeah, but I do distinctly remember that because I watched that series between the Warriors and the Warriors with Baron Davis against and Don Nelson at coach, beating the Dallas Mavericks, who were supremely heavily favored. I think the Warriors made the playoffs for like the first time in like a decade during that playoff run. But in the NHL, you have that pretty commonly. So the Lightning right now, it's all about maintaining their guys' health.
Right.
Because they need to get into the postseason healthy.
Right.
They're 15 points ahead of the Maple Leafs. I don't think the Leafs are going to catch up barring a catastrophic injury to somebody on the Lightning.
I'm not saying that the Lightning need to take their foot off the gas.
No. Because that's dangerous as well. You see that commonly in hockey and especially in baseball.
Mm-hmm. So I'm in basketball as well. In the last couple of weeks, they'll just not start their starters.
Yeah. But
so it's. I mean, I have faith in our coach, John Cooper, right?
Yeah, John Cooper.
I have faith in Cooper that he'll be able to kind of thread the needle between keeping everybody healthy, but also making a significant push in the regular season.
They know what's at stake here. The Lightning are.
I don't want to say this is the end of the contention window.
No, I think
but it's getting there because
I think they're at the peak.
Right.
Like this is like the peak of this is a better team than that 2015 team that lost to the Blackhawks.
Oh, no question. And the thing is, we have a lot of contracts coming up in the next couple of years.
So you're gonna get into you get into cap hell. But
trademark urinating tree.
Yeah.
Cap hell.
But yeah, this is the Lightning's.
This is our best shot.
Yeah.
At doing it, and I'm hoping to. Well, hopefully I'll be able to go to or I am planning on going to the game Sunday.
Yeah.
The Lightning are coming down to Sunrise, and I want to see the Lightning at least once because I have faith in this season. Although I've actually never been to a Lightning home game, which I'm still very sad about. My first NHL game was not with my favorite team. Yeah. Although the Panthers are my second favorite team. I've adopted the Miami teams.
So
I'm hoping to see them.
So let's see. We've got the races. The Islanders are still in first place out in the Metro. Very good story. And you've got the rest of the Atlantic Division is just bunched up between Toronto, Montreal, and Boston.
Yeah.
And one of those teams is just hoping to get that first wild card spot to avoid the Lightning, unless they do great against them in the regular season, because you never know. They might actually want the Lightning. The Blue Jackets hanging on to that final wild card spot with the Sabres, who have, not surprisingly, fallen off. But this is their first breakout season in a long time, so it's pretty obvious they're still a young team that they're trying to find their way with
as Eichel gets
with success.
As Eichel gets older, he's just going to get better.
He's already getting better. I mean, the team is already better. They got the number 1 draft pick and they hit on it pretty well with Rasmus, and then you got the Hurricanes, who is the team that, if out of all of these, other than Florida, because the Panthers are 9 points out with a game in hand, so there's a semblance of hope. Very much like the Heat.
Well, like we mentioned about the playoffs, the NHL is very much.
I know it's just you need to get in. You just need to get in. That's all you need. But the Panthers are. I'm in that in between area of should I just hope for them to tank? Can we get a number 1 draft pick? The draft this season is pretty deep, or do we actually go for the darn thing? Now we traded Bukestad, which I think was more of we needed to get rid of him at this point in time. I wanted him gone for 3 seasons now, mainly because he's just not the same player that he was projected to be. I think he already hit his ceiling, unless playing with the Penguins, better talent. But the Panthers have great talent too, so who knows? And then you've got, let's see.
We're talking West?
The Hurricanes, I already talked about. Have you seen the Storm Surge?
No.
The Hurricane celebrations after they win a game?
Oh, yes, I have.
Okay, perfect. Basically, the Hurricanes gather around center ice and do something new each time they win a home game.
It's fun, and it's bringing interest back into.
Yeah. Brian Burke, who was a failed executive in the NHL,
he hates it.
Yeah, he hates it, even though he's won a Stanley Cup. But now he's just an old fogey who just hates it beyond belief. But I love it.
It's making. if you're not having,
I tweeted a response. I think it was the Score that tweeted it. Like, oh, he hates it. I'm like, this is a guy, a traditional guy in a sport that regularly has people throwing octopuses, catfish, and plastic rats on the ice. So I don't know what's the seriousness about.
And this actually brings up something very interesting. One of my high school science teachers was a blue chip baseball player when he was younger. And, he was fine, he wasn't injured, and then all of a sudden he just quit. And I asked him why. And he said, I wasn't having fun anymore. I wasn't in love with the game anymore. And I've heard that over and over again, that players who just don't love the game aren't having fun anymore. They just don't play as well, and eventually they just kind of burn out. This is making hockey fun again for these players.
Yeah, I mean, the Hurricanes are in a race. They've been around for the last couple of seasons, and they might have a shot. They just need to get on a bit of a run to kind of nab one of those wild card spots. So yeah, just have fun with it. The fans are coming back to Raleigh to watch them again, so they love it. Out in West, you got the Winnipeg Jets in that super tough Central Division, but it's just the Jets and the Predators, and then after that, it falls.
Really drops off.
Yeah, it's a Dallas.
Same thing with the Pacific.
Those are our two Winter Classic teams, by the way, Nashville and Dallas, which I'm super stoked about.
I know. I still wish it would have been Minnesota, but I'm happy with Nashville.
I'm happy with the NHL's decision to go with what we actually discussed, which I actually like. I hope it's like Nashville or something, because we get a southern. It validates the southern markets, and even though you got the Twitter people who traditionalists and cocky, but whatever. The Calgary Flames are another surprise story. I don't know if it's a surprise story because they were pretty good beforehand, but they're breaking out as well. Obviously, they got Johnny Hockey out there, Johnny Gaudreau, and they're just having a great season. And who knows what happens with their arena deal, but I think they're safe now that Seattle already has the team, so there's not much leverage. I mean, there's not much leverage for the ownership of Calgary to force the city to give them the arena. What are they going to say? Oh, we're going to move back to Atlanta.
The team really, as time goes on, your suggestion that I've known about for at least a year at this point, the idea of combining the Panthers and the Coyotes into one franchise in Florida, and then opening up a 30-second slot for Houston or some other major market.
I think Houston's probably the one that Calgary is going to say, oh, it's going to hold over them. But that will require an ownership because the owner of the Rockets wants the NHL franchise for himself. Now, they could obviously sell it to him, but...
But see, the thing is, I looked at the realignment plan for the NHL starting in 2021 when Seattle joins the league.
Right.
Right now, Arizona, the Coyotes are in the Pacific.
They're in
the Pacific Division. They're going to be moved over to the Central. And guess what team is also in the Central?
The Dallas Stars.
So it makes sense that you would just throw out the Coyotes, basically, and replace them with Houston. You wouldn't have to realign the divisions like they have the past couple of times. That one weird season where Winnipeg was in the Eastern Conference playing Florida and Tampa, because that's the division that the Atlanta Thrashers were in. You wouldn't have all that nonsense. You would just be trading Central for Central.
Right.
So as time goes on, you're looking more and more like a Nostradamus type person.
Oh, I mean, I've done it before, so I predicted the Panthers logo. I've done it before, but I'm no Charles, that's for sure. So you got to stop being right about football, dude. Sheesh, all our nightmares are coming true.
You're good at it.
And then finally, I guess we'll round out. We've got the old guard, the Anaheim Ducks, the Chicago Blackhawks, and the LA Kings are the worst teams in the league.
I would not have expected that. Although, if Urinating Tree is any indication, and he's usually dead on about stuff like this, his actual predictions suck, but in terms of trends, the Blackhawks they're well out of their contention window. They're going to need to do something soon to get back into things. They're done. Same with the Kings. He just posted a video about that.
Yeah.
Which I was surprised by because he usually lays off teams that have won championships recently.
But it's just the way the Kings are structuring their personnel that has been the issue. I think they were successful for so long that just the same thing with the Blackhawks that they've lost. They're basically what the Detroit Red Wings were doing for so many years, trying to hold on to whatever semblance of their great dynastic years, and it's gone now. And now, these days in the NHL, you can't do that. I mean, once you're bad, you're bad pretty quickly. Like their championship window is shut, like sealed off. That's it. So that's our hockey talk, guys.
I wanted to see. I'm not sure if we can work this, but I'm a big fan. I try to do this every so often just to test myself. Guessing NHL goal horns. I want to see if we can work that because
we'll try it for next week.
Okay.
We got to set it up with YouTube and everything. But, yeah.
Okay. Should we go to another segment then?
Yeah, let's players we remember to forget.
I don't have anybody.
You don't? Okay. Do you have anybody, Charles?
Yeah.
Alrighty. Let's
and here's the thing. I'm going to put this as a disclaimer. This is still an active player, but he's so bad.
Nathan Peterman?
No. He's going to be... He's the litmus test when I actually bring in a retired quarterback. But he's so bad that I was surprised that he's still on the team that drafted him. He's that recent.
Oh,
and my player to forget, or so bad I forgot, however you want to phrase it. No. Kevin White, wide receiver of the Chicago Bears. He played college football at West Virginia and was drafted 7th overall by the Bears in 2015. He had he is the byproduct of what happens when you fall in love with speed. In the
Gotta go fast,
combine.
man. Gotta go fast.
So, we're looking at him as like an eventual replacement of Brandon Marshall. They were looking to build him up with Alshon Jeffrey when Jeffrey was still there. It was the same draft that they had Amari Cooper in. Used the top 10 pick. He had the measurables, right? So he's like 6'2.5", 215 pounds. He had his 40-yard dash was 4.35. Vertical jump was like almost 3 feet over. It was like supposed to be love, right? Brian Pace drafts him. All this finally comes in. 7th pick overall, $15 million contract, $10 million signing bonus. The dude has never shown up in a game. First 4 games of the 2016 season, he was placed on injured reserve, constantly injured. He was on the physically unable to perform list in his rookie year. Didn't play a single game. He was starter. He is so bad that his Wikipedia stuff is small, so I have to go to just what his stats are. So hold on, let me just go for there, because it just marveled me how sometimes falling in love with a player, because he reminds me of a lesser version of Devontae Parker and the draft stats that they have. At least Devontae has played in a game once every 5 years. It's like Haley's Comet, but it comes in. But it's bad, you guys. So just to give you an idea, from this season alone in 2018, 7th round pick, 4 receptions, 92 yards, no touchdowns. 2017, 2 receptions, 6 yards. 2016, 19 receptions, 187 yards, you guys. 7th round pick, no touchdowns. He's like my Brody Coyle of last week, where ineptitude is key. Yes, I understand he's a byproduct of injury, but you're out there. You're not impressing the organization that drafted you, so it's expected that he's probably going to get cut this year.
Well,
and it's not like
if I saw in his Wikipedia article correctly, they declined his option for this season.
Oh, yeah. So, free agent. But this is not like a Brashard Perriman situation where, hey, someone will pick you up like Cleveland did. Mm-hmm. This guy's going to the AFL or AFL. He's going to the XFL. Just so they can tout, we have a guy that's a recent, phenomenon, and he didn't get a fair shake, but now we got him. But guys, it's bad. It's real bad. It's super bad.
I mean, I'm looking here, his pre-draft measurables.
He looked like a stud, just based on his draft measurables.
Look at that. 40-yard dash, 4.35 seconds. That is a fast man. Wow.
Yeah, 7th pick. You would think he'd be...
And he has 2 younger brothers.
2. Or 3?
Yeah, his 2 younger brothers, Karan and Kaiser, who both played football at West Virginia.
And are now in the pros.
And Karan, yeah, plays for the Steelers and is a linebacker for the LA Chargers.
So at least one of them made the playoffs.
Yeah, that's true. Well, I mean, that's true. Oh, boy. Alrighty.
So that's mine.
Okay, that's yours. I'm trying to remember a random baseball player. Let's try Ron Gant. We're just gonna go with Ron Gant. Ron Gant is an American television news anchor and a former baseball player. Oh, he's a news anchor? Really? That is an interesting turn. All right, congratulations. He played.
He looks the part.
Yeah, he played for the Braves, the Reds, the Cardinals, the Phillies, the Angels, he played on a lot of teams. The Rockies, the A's, and the Padres, and again with the A's in 2003.
That is a journeyman player right there.
That is true. He joined the 30 Club in 1990 and 91 with the Braves. He is right-handed. That's part of his opening. So one of his great features is that he is right-handed. So that's according to whoever wrote this article on Wikipedia. But he is a co-host on WAGA TV's, which is, I guess, a Fox affiliate station out in Atlanta, on Good Day Atlanta. So last time I was in Atlanta, I could have seen him. Yeah, I could have seen him last time. He's 53 years old, from Texas. And yeah, he played for, he was All-Star 2 times in 92 and 95, and he won the Silver Slugger in 91. So he actually had a pretty good start to his career, and then after, I guess, he kind of just tapered off. But 256 batting average, 321 home runs, 1,000 RBIs. Not a bad career for Senor Gant. 30-30 Club, wow. Joining Willie Mays and Barry Bonds as the only players to have 32 30-30 seasons in a row.
So he had power and he was fast.
Yeah. For the time, and then he was part of that 91 Braves team that lost to the Twins in Game 7 in the 40,000th inning, with Jack Morris pitching that entire game. Okay. Now he's in broadcasting. He was with TBS and Sports South with the Braves, and became the news anchor in 2012 of Good Day Atlanta. Okay. So, let's see. And, he was in a fatal car accident in 2005. In his pickup truck out in Fulton County. And he has 4 kids as of 2015. So, Senor Gant, nice career, dude. And nice after career as well. Nothing nefarious, nothing too... Wow, cool.
Not a drug runner for Narco Season 4.
Okay. Anybody else that jumps out to you guys?
Not really. I mean, I know that Charles brought it up, but Rashad Perriman, I know he's not really a remember to forget guy, but I think he would have been, unless he had salvaged his career with Cleveland a little bit. And I hate saying that because he went to UCF. He was a great player for us. And I just hope that his career doesn't become one of these remember to forget guys.
Yeah. Let's see.
Injury bug. It's a real thing.
Mm-hmm. And for some reason, I'm looking up Robert Svela.
I don't even know who that is.
He's a Slovak retired ice hockey player. Played 9 seasons in the NHL. From 95 to 2003 with the Panthers and the Maple Leafs. He is Czech. Well, he was actually born in Czechoslovakia, but he is more Slovakian than Czecho. So thus he is Slovak. Let's see, he's 6'1" defenseman. And let's see, he's coaching now. He's coaching HC Dukla Trenton and signed a contract as an assistant coach. And his international career, he won 1987 in the European Junior Championships. He won a silver. In 92, at the World Championships, he got a bronze. And at the Olympics in 92, he also got a bronze. That's when the Czechoslovakian team was together. So that was very talented squad, mainly on the Czech side. Because I think the Czech side has always been the better.
Oh, yeah. You've got Dominik Hasek.
Yeah.
What's his name? Yager.
Yeah, Yager's Czech.
Czech Republic. So.
Yeah. Yager's Czech. A lot of guys. Okay. So, that's...
All right, we've got 10 minutes to go.
He scored 68 goals in his NHL career. 655 games, 267 assists. That's a lot of assists. And 335 points and 649 penalty minutes. So he's pretty good on the minutes. Very disciplined player. All right, that's it. So last 10 minutes of the show, guys. Anything else that jumps out at you? We can go to our other segments or...
Well, is Cesar going to come in for...
Nah. He got held up a bit today, so we're going to have to continue without him today. So we can't go on the Anthony Davis talk, even though actually on today's show, I put our Sports Goofs logos in color scheme. What team do you guys think this is?
Bucks?
Yes, the Milwaukee Bucks, because the Milwaukee Bucks are doing awesome this season. Giannis is a beast. Obviously, he had the second most votes for the All-Star game and is heading one of the two teams along with LeBron James. So I just wanted to get some love out to the Milwaukee Bucks. I'm hoping, I guess, a little bit of the Anthony Davis talk, but I'm hoping Giannis ends up being one of those guys that stays in the small market. Obviously, he's Greek, and the Bucks have done everything to put a good team around him. They've got a brand new arena. This is the first season that they're playing in it, and everything seems to be turning up Milwaukee right now. They're gonna have some tough contests with the Toronto Raptors, who Kawhi's leaving. That's a given, right, guys? Kawhi's leaving.
Yeah, but he's going to try to win with a title. And at the end of the day, if you can get to that, or even if you get to the finals, it just might be a trade for the short term that you took.
Yeah. So, yeah, the Raptors are. I think they're resigned to that point where they know he's going to leave. So they'll just give it all they have for this season, and they're still in a good position if they can get some serviceable players or maybe an above average guy to come on over. They could still compete next season in the Eastern Conference. It's not that big of a deal. But obviously, the Boston Celtics are the team that we are watching. They were the favorite before the season started. So we'll see if they can actually get everything together and by come playoff time. But obviously, Kyrie is also on the disgruntled player talk as well. So
did you hear that?
Yeah, it's been rumored now that he's disgruntled as well, and I don't get why. He got his wish. He got away from LeBron, and so this is kind of like a trend in the NBA.
I think remember, there's guys who can walk that walk, or they can talk that talk, but they can't walk that walk.
Right.
And he wants to be mad. I was listening to a segment today because we're Miami-based. I listened to Miami-based radio for the Heat and everything, and they had the interview when he's talking to the guys and says, "Oh, do you think you owe it to somebody?" And then he just goes off and pulls the complete LeBron and says, "I don't bleep to anybody." So I'm just like, all right. Apparently he called LeBron up to apologize. Hey, I'm sorry that I was such a pain in the butt, forcing my way out there and go there. But there's some dudes, and here's the thing about Curry: he's always gonna be a good player. He's always going to be a very good player.
Right.
He's always going to be almost a great player. He's not going to be a foundational changer franchise player. That's why they went at Gordon Hayward to be like, we need a guy for you. Because you were in Cleveland by yourself when you had Tristan Thompson and Bennett, and then there was one more who I'm missing out. Philly Cheese over in
Dion.
Deion Waiter, yeah. I was going to call him Fatty. I'm trying not to call like people derogatory statements, trying to be a good, wholesome person. Deion's always, bust up. So, those are a collective group of just guys who are good at their respective positions in the sense of what they got to bring. But, he can't coalesce. And then LeBron comes in, okay, you play second fiddle, you still show up, great. But then you force your way out of Boston. And, first season in Boston, you showed up 2/3 away, and then you got injured, which is a typical thing. The guy had a busted orbital bone. He's hurt his legs in the past. And then this year now it's just not making sense. And now he doesn't like the fact that he's got to carry load. And I don't think he understands that. You did it with Kevin Love.
And I don't think he understands the fact that he's maybe he does understand the fact, because maybe that was the whole thing where he called LeBron and he's like, oh, I apologize for how I was when I was younger and stuff, because he's dealing with these darn kids right now in Boston. But I mean
those kids at least play defense.
Yeah, exactly.
You don't play defense.
So those are the guys that are going to take you to the supposed promised land of winning the Eastern Conference if you guys do get it together. I mean, he's got the resources in Boston. He's got a great coach. He's got the young team with the young guys there. They could trade for Anthony Davis and convince him to stay. Who knows?
I think even bigger, don't mess with Danny Ainge, because Danny Ainge will trade your ass.
Yeah.
He did it to Garnett. He did it to Paul Pierce.
And we obviously know Danny Ainge knows what he's doing.
Yeah, and you're going to be sent to New York to suffer, and then you're just going to be losing all the time. And you're not even going to resign there anyway to begin with.
Right. I mean, isn't that what the plan for the Knicks as well? Like, hey, we're gonna get everybody this offseason because that's what they're positioning right now. But actually, we'll talk about that next week.
When Cesar comes in,
we got a lot of basketball stuff we could talk about, because the Knicks have made a ton of moves. Anthony Davis wants out, and I guess maybe the feel good thing is that Chris Bosh is getting his number retired in Miami. So thank you for that. I'm really glad that he's in good terms with the franchise now after that kind of rough go with the blood clots.
Feel bad for him.
Yeah, I mean, he would have been one of the greatest Heat players if not for that. I mean, he already was up there for those 4 seasons, but when LeBron was there. But then, I still contend that we would have made it to the Eastern Conference Finals in 2016 if he was healthy.
Yeah.
So and probably maybe in the mix still the season after that, especially that 2017 season where we screwed ourselves with that 31-10 finish. But, all right, so we're coming up towards the end of the show, and at the end of the show, we always go through the 40 billion weird college team names out there for men's and women's college basketball and even college hockey. College baseball season will start soon as well, so we'll have plenty of fodder for that. So, Andrew, why don't we get started today? I see you've got here Colgate, Lehigh, Fairfield, Siena, UT, Rio Grande Valley, Chicago State, Iona, and Mississippi Valley State.
All right. So let's just go down the list. I'll give each of you guys one guess and hint. Colgate. We may have done that.
Colgate total.
That would be great. That would be very Charles-esque. All right. So it is a human and one of the NFL teams in the... I'm going to go ahead and say AFC.
Colgate?
It's a West Coast AFC team.
Chargers?
Nope.
Chiefs?
West Coast.
Oh, they're
Well,
the
I'm thinking
AFC West.
West, yeah.
No. I'm literally West Coast.
Oh, Raiders?
Correct. The Colgate Raiders.
Oh, BTW news. The Oakland Raiders are going to be playing in San Francisco in the 2019 season at now Oracle Park, home of the Giants.
Someone pointed out that there are going to be 2 teams. There's going to be a team in the NFL named San Francisco
that doesn't play
in San Francisco, and then a team playing in San Francisco that is not named San Francisco.
Yeah, and people were wondering what would the name be for the Raiders. Would they be the Oakland Raiders of San Francisco of Las Vegas, or what? I'm surprised they didn't find any of. I'm surprised they didn't. Well, maybe. I'm surprised they didn't go to where UNLV plays football and just play there for a season.
That would be smart.
But maybe they're officially not ready to move all their stuff all the way out to Vegas just yet. I mean, they would have to share their practice facility and everything. So I guess staying in the Bay Area. So I'm good on Oakland, by the way, to go tell them to screw themselves a season early. That was great. I'm hoping it leads to the A's getting a new ballpark or renovating the Coliseum to, 21st century standards. But, all right, so that was an aside, but go San Francisco Raiders.
Okay, so next up is Lehigh.
Lehigh. Wait.
Oh, let me give you...
I think my cousin went to that university. He lives out in Pennsylvania.
I believe so.
Yeah, he did. Holy crap. Oh, and I should know it then. The Hornets. I don't know.
Or do you want me to give you your hint first? Or...
The what?
Want me to give you your hint first?
Sure, why not? I just guessed Hornets for some reason.
Okay. I'll take that as your guess. Charles?
Yes, please, hint it.
Okay.
Because I'm just going to call them the Lehigh Lanyards.
It's a two-word name, so kind of like Golden Knights in that sense. It is a topographical feature and a bird of prey.
What?
Okay, topographical bird of prey. The
topographical meaning it could be
the
a valley,
mountain.
it could be a mountain. It
Okay.
could be some kind of
The mountain eagles.
very close. It is mountain.
Okay, so now we're thinking of birds of prey. All right, well, there's only like 3 that I know.
Mountain falcons, mountain hogs. Could it be an archipelago, huh?
Malkin.
Well, it is mountain, and I'm gonna. What the heck? I'll give it to you. It is the Mountain Hawks.
Okay, the Mountain Hawks.
Next up is Fairfield, and let me while I'm at it, let me just tell everybody where every school is. So Colgate is an Ivy League school, if I remember correctly. Colgate University. Yep, Hamilton, New York. It is indeed. I don't remember. Is it in the Ivy? I feel bad.
I'm not sure. I think they have a hockey team. I think they do have a hockey team though.
Oh, they're the only whatever. They're not an Ivy school, but they are located in Hamilton, New York. I'm gonna speed things up a little bit. I apologize, guys. Next up is Lehigh. Lehigh University is located in the Lehigh Valley of Pennsylvania, specifically in Bethlehem.
Okay.
Obviously a private school.
Yeah, yeah.
Next up is Fairfield.
Okay, Fairfield. Not ringing a bell whatsoever.
Hint. It is the Patronus of Harry Potter.
A doe? Oh, I'm sorry. I'm thinking of something else. A stag.
It is the Stags, the Fairfield Stags.
All right.
I thought Snape and Lily. You
Very
got me all
good.
in the stuff.
Someone knows their Harry Potter. So Fairfield University is located in where else? Fairfield, Connecticut. And I'll just wrap it up at 4 since we're a little bit over our time.
Okay.
But last up, and I don't even know what this name means.
Siena?
I'm going to skip Siena since that one's kind of a boring. Last up is going to be University of Texas, Rio Grande Valley.
So obviously not as good as UTEP.
No.
Because they're not in El Paso. But, speaking of, if anybody's out there, the AAA All-Star Game will be in El Paso, Texas this year.
Oh, nice.
Let's see. UT Rio Grande Valley. So has it anything to do with the river itself?
No. And I'm just, since...
Is it the Vipers?
I don't even know what it is.
Actually, I think that's the G League team.
That's what I thought of.
So it's a Spanish word.
Okay.
It is Spanish for a cowboy or a cattle driver.
Caballero?
What's that?
Caballero, I said.
No.
Vaquero?
Vaquero.
There it is.
So it is the UT Rio Grande Valley Vaqueros.
Okay. Nice.
So, very good name for a school that is located right next to Mexico in a very Spanish-speaking part of the country. At least I think
they should have gone with Caballero and just added like a tire of a cap.
It would have been Caballeros, and their mascots would have been the three Caballeros from the Disney movies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, Oregon already uses Donald, right?
That is true.
They don't pay me for any kind of AD work, but they really should.
Alrighty, so that's all of our college team names.
Well, I have 4 more, but I'll save those for next week.
Okay. Alright, and I guess just to round out here, some of the live games for tonight, anything that jumps out. Let's see, I've got, our guests of the honor for the Milwaukee Bucks, currently beating down the Brooklyn Nets, as they should. Let's see, the Atlanta Hawks in that terrible Southeast Division of the NBA beating the Washington Wizards. The Detroit Pistons beating the Denver Nuggets. Wow, 116-90 out in Detroit. The Pacers beating the Pelicans out in New Orleans. And then we got the later games tonight. The Rockets should beat the Suns, and then we got the Spurs and the Sacramento Kings, who are also another feel-good story this season. They're finally getting it all together with their young guys. Maybe Vlade Divac actually knows what he's doing. Who knows? Or they're just getting very lucky. LA Kings and the New York Rangers. The Rangers should beat the Kings. They're just terrible this season. The Flyers and their goaltender, who's pretty hot right now.
Bobrovsky? No. He's with the Blue Jackets.
Yeah, no. They got a young young goaltender now. I think he's won his first 6 games of his career.
Oh yeah, I remember this guy.
And I think he's under 22 years old. I think the last time somebody did this was Carey Price, but I'm not sure. Maybe Vasilevsky's in that list. The Ducks are getting spanked by the Leafs 3-0, and the Coyotes are up 1-0 against the Stars. So those are our professional teams, and of course 40 billion college basketball games, and I guess the only one of note being I guess Oklahoma's playing against Iowa State right now, and I guess Louisville just beat Virginia Tech. So that's it. And then the Maryland Terrapins for the women's side, and Baylor, #1 team in women's, beat Texas.
And then to really round things out a little bit, the Beanpot, second game of the Beanpot, we're at the end of the first period.
Oh, that's right. It started at 8.
We're at the end of the first period. Northeastern and Boston University are tied. So we will have to see how that one goes.
Next week, we'll find out how it ended up.
Exactly.
All right. So thank you, everybody, for joining us. Thank you to Charles and to Andrew. Sorry Cesar couldn't make it to tell us how LA feels about losing the Super Bowl. But I think we made our thoughts known about it, especially Charles and his thoughts about In-N-Out Burger in California and Adam Levine's nipples.
Exactly.
So we'll see you guys next week, hopefully. Take care.
Farewell.
Bye-bye.
What language is that?
Dutch.
Nice. Stupid Belgians. They share a border with the Dutch. If you remember Austin Powers, Gold Member, and his father. I love that movie.